Can you really change your life through writing in a notebook every single day? Yes, you can, and I did it, and I'm going to share with you in this video exactly how. I went from working in a cafe job to running my own online business and traveling to Bali, living anywhere that I want in the world, and just finally hitting one of my major goals. And I did this predominantly through a journal practice that I'm going to share with you in this video. This is how you are going to get to where you want to be in 6 months' time. This video is long because if you do this, you will get to where you want to be in 6 months. And I wanted to make sure that it had all the details in it, and I shared with you everything that you need to take action from this video. Not just watch, not just listen, but actually go away with a journal practice that you can do every single day or every single week. That's your choice to actually make sure that you hit your goals in the next 6 months. I have done this practice when I wanted to quit my job, travel to Bali, and run my own online business. Don't use this video as a form of procrastination, but use this video as inspiration to actually take action, because I'm big on action taking, and as much as the writing and the journaling comes into play, I want you to go away from this video and actually start to take that action, because as I mention all the time, the small things that you do every day, they all compound into bigger life changes. A bit of background: I moved to Sweden from the UK 2 years ago. A job which I was supposed to have actually fell flat, so I got myself a cafe job whilst I was a freelance photographer. 1 year after being in this job, I was done. I was feeling like there must be more and I want to change. I need to make my business work. Having 7 part-time jobs, my ultimate goal was to run my own company. Now I'm on my 3rd business actually. My first company was a fashion business, my second was freelance photographer, and now I have a marketing agency. So I failed twice, and the 3rd time actually managed to sustain me. So I've been through a lot, but when I was in this cafe job at the start of last year, it was my mission to quit. I had been there for just under a year, and I was like, this is not where I want to be. I'm not happy here, and I don't know how much longer I can go. So I made myself a goal to quit in the next 6 months. I actually ended up quitting in May of last year, so I quit in 5 months. And this journal practice was a huge factor in that. As always, this video is split into chapters so you can find exactly where you want and easily navigate the video, but I do recommend watching the whole thing. Journaling is simply writing down your thoughts and feelings to understand them more clearly. If you struggle with stress, depression, or anxiety, keeping a journal can actually be a great idea. It can help you gain control of your emotions and improve your mental health. There are actually some science-backed benefits to journaling, and some of those being reduced stress, improves immune function, keeps memory sharp, and boosts your mood, and strengthens your emotional function. So it's just generally good for the brain. If you want to get smarter, if you want to retain information, if you want to emotionally develop yourself, increase your EQ, then journaling is a great place to start. Involving both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, writing is thought to improve communication across areas of the brain responsible for regulating emotions. So there is science behind this, guys. I'm not just totally woo-woo, and if you aren't sold on journaling yet, then keep watching, because you will be. How do you journal, especially to get to a place that you are not in right now? There is no specific way to journal. I'm sorry to burst that bubble that you had, but there is no one way to journal. When somebody asks me, how do I journal, it's really specific to what you want to work on, what the purpose is behind the journal, and how you express yourself to the world. If you haven't journaled before, you probably need to try different ways to see what actually works. Because there are numerous examples. One example is morning pages. Morning pages is a technique from Julia Cameron, and I actually recommend her book, which is called The Miracle of Morning Pages. Morning pages is basically you write by hand until you've filled 3 sides of an A5 notebook with words that nobody else will ever see. So there's no real purpose behind writing, but it's just you have to fill 3 pages of writing. So this is a great way to express yourself, to get any thoughts out that no one is going to see. You don't have to worry about what it looks like, you don't have to worry about what you're saying, and you'll probably discover some things that you didn't quite know that were in the back of your head, right? Because filling 3 pages takes some time and it's quite long. So this is a practice where you write 3 pages every single morning. Checking in is another example where you literally just check in with yourself every day. How are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? What went well? What didn't go well? You can do this at the end of the day. You can do this at the start of your day. This is just journal checking in. There's another form of journaling, which is when you have a decision to make, when you write down pros and cons, you write down why you should take this decision, why you shouldn't do this, and this is just to navigate your way through life. Then we have the most popular ways of journaling, which is gratitude journaling. So writing down 5 things you're grateful for, or 10 things you're grateful for, 3, or whatever, whether that's in the morning and in the evening, just writing down what you're grateful for. People talk about this a lot because it's just a great way to appreciate what you have while still working for more. We all know how hard that is, right? And then journaling when something isn't going well or when you're feeling sad. This is really popular. People love to write down when they're feeling sad, when something isn't going well. And as much as this helps so much, it's a shame because a lot of the time we forget to write down when we're feeling happy, when we're feeling good, but we are quick to write down when we're feeling sad. So you end up reading through all of your old journals thinking, oh my God, my life was so sad. But it's a great way to obviously get your thoughts out and overcome those sad times. So those are just some popular examples. I don't really do any of those personally. I mean, I do the gratitude ones and every now and then I'm feeling sad and I do some check-ins, but those aren't really my ways of journaling, and especially not when we're trying to get towards a goal in 6 months' time. Let's get into how you are going to get towards your goal. The first thing is to set your clear goal. Write this down, focus on one major thing here, not too many things. I recommend focusing on one major thing. The truth is, it doesn't have to be too specific. The more specific, the better, but the best thing is to have certainty and belief that it will happen. My goal was to quit my job. This means that there are so many other factors. You know, how will I make money? Where will the clients come from? When will I hand my CV in? How much notice will I have to give? How will I pay myself? You know, there were so many hows, and how am I going to do this? These are all really important questions, but we aren't covering these right now. We're just understanding the goal. So for example, your goal might be financial freedom, it might be quitting your job, it might be being able to run a marathon. It has to be something that is in an element of your control. So it can't be to be accepted into a university or to gain this many amount of followers online, because that isn't directly in your control. But quitting your job, being financially free, that is in your control. There's steps that you can take towards getting there. Whereas being accepted into a university, you've probably done all that you can, but you just want to, get there, and it's like, okay, how can you do that? You just have to wait and see what happens. But also understand that you never have full control. That's why I say an element of control, because quitting my job was in an element of my control, because it meant that I could try and get more clients, more marketing, better strategies, more outreach, etc. All of those things were in my control. Whereas an application sent off to university, nothing else then is in your control. You can't do anything more to get that goal. So it needs to be an element of your control. So pause this video and write that goal down. If you really can't decide, and if you have multiple, then that is fine. Just write down 3 if you really have them, and then further on into the video you might realize what's really most important to you. Or you might want to do this journal practice for 3 goals, but I do recommend, if you want to get there quicker, focusing on one thing is the best way to do it, because those other things might just overlap and come automatically. Now we have the specific journal practices which come in 4 forms. Then I will share journal prompts that you can do every single morning and every month. The daily and monthly ones are so important here. You can also incorporate weekly. The specific journal practice is called future writing. Now you are going to be you in 6 months' time. Write down the date and write down the time exactly 6 months' time. The day, the date, the time. And write where you are, what you did, what you will do today, and write down your specific situation now that your goal is complete. So I really want you to get in that headspace of, it's 6 months' time. Your goal is complete. You have completed your goal. You're exactly where you dream of being right now. Get in that headspace and write down your day. What are you doing that day? How are you feeling? Who are you seeing that day? What does your life look like? How much money do you have, for example, if the goal is based around money? What are you seeing today if it's based around travel? Have you handed in your resignation? For example, when I was quitting my job, I really had this visual of walking in and handing in my letter of resignation to my manager, and her being really sad, and we're like, yeah, I know, but I finally did it. I finally able to quit my job. And I had this visualization as well in me, and I also journaled this. So have this written down, and also what I recommend is writing it down on paper and also writing it down in notes on your phone. And write it down, I mean actually type it in, don't just take a picture or copy and paste it, because you really want to remember this, and the more that you write it, the more likely you are to remember it. So I also had a notes page in my phone, which was me sharing in a group that I was a part of, that I had quit my job, that I was finally full-time, and my journey to doing that. So if there is somebody that you are going to tell this goal to once you have achieved it, write a message to them. Write that in your notes folder. So if you want to tell your mum when you quit your job, if you want to tell your best friend when you have done this, when you have achieved this goal, write that message that you will say to them. And so you have your message, and then you have your daily, what your life is actually like. And if there's multiple people you're going to tell, write to them, like write literally the message that you're going to tell them, like, hey Lucy, oh my god, you'll never guess what happened. Today I did this. And I can't believe it. I'm so happy. I love you so much. Like, I'm so happy. So whoever you will write that to, write those messages in your notes, and also write it on a piece of paper. Now, when you are planning your weeks and your days in general, I want you to write in your daily to-dos is to read my future writing. In the beginning, after we've just written this, we've just started the journal practice, I want you to read it daily so that it kind of gets into your mindset, but then you don't have to keep reading it daily for 6 months straight. Like, you really don't have to do that. Then you can start doing it in weekly or every 2 weeks or something, or whenever you like do something, you can also read it. But right now, for the next week, I want you to write in your daily to-dos to read your future writing. So read these messages that you're going to send to people, and read that page that you just written down, because it's just going to get you in that mindset of, oh, okay, this is really cool. You're going to get into that feeling of you actually have achieved that. And to be honest, you might want to continue reading this every day, because when you read the page that you have written about the future you and where you're going to be, you're going to feel so excited. If you can really read it and be present with it while you're reading it, not read it while you're like listening to something and thinking about other things, then you will feel the excitement of actually feeling there and actually being that person. And I guarantee you're probably going to want to read it a lot more often, because if you can be present with it, it gets you into that state of you're actually there. And obviously it's a big goal for you right now, so you're going to be so happy when you read it. You can't just check in with this once, because then it's probably not going to work. So that's why I say for the first week, kind of try and habitize it. Try and do it, daily, so that it becomes a bit more of a habit, and then you might want to continue that because it will feel so good. Or if not, then turn it into weekly, just so that you are staying consistent with it, because we really don't want to read it once and then forget about it, because then it's very unlikely that it's going to happen. Consistency is everything. So that is our future writing. The next thing is our current writing. So this involves check-ins, thoughts playing on your mind, gratitude, daily ideas, and random struggles that you are facing. Because the reality is, you're going to face struggles, and you're going to face a lot of self-doubt, and you're going to face questions. Can I really do this? Who do I think I am? Imposter syndrome. All of these thoughts are going to come up, but we need strategies to help with these thoughts, because they just are going to be there. And yeah, we can't pretend that they're not. Current writing is incredible for gaining self-awareness and self-actualization, getting to know you. You have your mind, yet you're constantly distracted. Current writing lets you figure out who you actually are. So I'm going to leave some prompts on the screen now for your check-ins, the thoughts playing on your mind, gratitude, daily ideas, and random struggles. So your check-ins is something you can do daily. Thoughts playing on your mind is when you get self-doubt and thoughts that are obstacles towards that 6-month goal of yours. Gratitude, again, another daily thing that I definitely recommend doing. Daily ideas, if you ever have ideas and things that might help you get towards those 6 months goals, write them down and try and implement those things. And then random struggles that you are facing. So this might not come up every day, you might come up every day, you might have a lot of obstacles, or you might just be facing random struggles that you kind of need to equationize and get back to that school person where you actually wrote down equations and stuff like that, because it's so rare now that we actually put pen to paper, but it really helps in breaking down struggles, why you're struggling, and how you can overcome overcome those struggles. Obstacle overcoming writing. So you will face obstacles in pursuit of your goal. You will feel like it's not happening. You will feel doubt. You will feel like it's never going to happen. This is normal, and this is why we have obstacle overcoming. I want you to try and set up a system for this. So whether that's doing it every single week, because you might be facing obstacles weekly, you might be facing obstacles bi-weekly, and whatever those obstacles are, write them down and, like I said, look at it like an equation. What is the obstacle, and is it actually there? Is it actually true, or is it just a mental block? Which takes us into the third thing, which is limiting belief overcoming. You have limiting beliefs right now, whether you know it or not. You have those beliefs that maybe you're not cool enough to do this thing, or you don't have enough money to do this thing, or you're never going to do this thing because nobody in your family did this thing, or whatever those limiting beliefs are, you have them. So it's really important to know what they are so that you can actually overcome them, because they're so, like, limiting beliefs are so frustrating because they're in the back of your mind, that they're not that obvious enough to act upon. They're not obvious enough to know that they're stopping you from getting towards your goals, but they are there enough to stop you from getting towards your goals, because it's like they take over like a part of your mind that just stops you from taking the action, or stops you from feeling like you deserve that end goal, if that makes sense. For example, when I was trying to quit my job, there were so many obstacles in the way. There were so many doubts, so many thoughts and feelings, but if I didn't journal on this, and if I didn't break them down and overcome them, then I would have never been able to quit my job, because they would have just been playing in my mind. Morning pages are just your check-ins. I want you to check in with yourself, get to know yourself, and self-actualize. The more that you check in with yourself and figure out how you're feeling, why you are feeling this way, and what's happening today, and what makes you happy, it's just so much nicer to look back on, because in 6 months' time, when you have achieved this goal, because it is going to happen, it's already happening. When you have achieved this goal, you're going to be so grateful that you wrote down and actually documented the journey of achieving this goal. And then you can come back to this video and thank me and be like, oh my God, I was here 6 months ago. So it's nice to look back, but it's also nice to just get to know yourself more. And a quick spoiler, you don't have to journal every single day to get towards your goals. I'd rather have you take the necessary action than sit and write, because this can be a form of procrastination. I don't want you to just sit and write down and keep writing and all of these things rather than actually take the necessary action. So also make a list of what the action is that's going to help you towards that goal. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, for me to quit my job, it meant more outreach, it meant better marketing strategies, it meant thinking of how and where I'm going to find these clients to grow my business to be able to quit my job. So make sure that you have a list of the actions that you actually need to do, the money-making moves as well, I like to call it, if your goal is around money. So just a bonus is the tasks you need to do today and every day to get towards your goals. What are they? And write those down and have them in your weekly, daily calendar. I have a weekly Notion template, weekly Notion plan. I think I still have it. Anyway, I'll put it here and I will link that below if you want to download it, because I like working and seeing my week on a sheet so that I can plan my daily to-dos and my weekly to-dos, and this really helps into getting to where you want to be, because I think we've overcomplicated goal setting, right? The main thing with goal setting is figuring out where you want to be and then breaking that down into monthly tasks, weekly tasks, daily tasks, and then if you're doing the daily tasks and they're actually working and you're being consistent with it, it's so like obvious that you're actually going to get towards your goal, you know, it's guaranteed. But the action also is like 50% with the mindset. So the journaling kind of tackles those two things. If you can figure out the action that you need to take and then also do these journal prompts, then you're going to have the mindset to support the action. And that is why I love this 6-month journal practice. I want to know what your goal is for 6 months' time. What are you working towards? What do you really want in your life? And leave it below in the comments so that I can read and so that we can share and help each other. For me personally, it's a big financial goal and business related goal, but it's also to travel. In 6 months' time, I want to travel again to Asia. It was absolutely incredible, so that's a big goal of mine. So my journaling supports this, but also my visualization. And visualization is a very, very powerful tool when getting to where you want to be, and hopefully I'll be making a longer video about this as well, if that's what you want to see. Right now, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, week, month, life. Bye.